Hi everyone, this is Peter Ong of Rest Age Advisory. Thank you for joining me for episode 4. Today's topic is on how to keep energy, engagement, and effectiveness levels high within your organization. What you learn today would be applicable in this very difficult COVID-19 situation. It will also be really useful for you in business as usual times. In episode 3, I talk about one of the favorite quotes of mine by Warren Buffett, which says, "Predicting rain doesn't count, building arcs does." He says this in 2001, and I mentioned it in episode 3, during the time when I taught all of us how to think about sense making in an accurate and confident manner. You may recall that we ended episode 3 with some steps on how your teams could take to sense make, and you would end off with some priorities. The priorities are the arcs which you have to build. When you are at this stage, wouldn't it be great if the energy, engagement, and effectiveness levels of your organization is as high as it can be? Clients and friends of Rest Age Advisory have always heard me use the term vitamin E as a short form for energy, engagement, and effectiveness levels. In short, today's topic, we learn how to raise the vitamin E levels of your company. This is very much like in a video game when you look at gobbling up, leveling up berries. The more berries that you have, the more powerful, the more benefits you have in the video game, and you still pay your employees just the same. So vitamin E levels, leveling up berries, if you think about that, are very, very useful for your company. If you think along with me, if at the end of the day you have to have your employee check a box before they punch out of your company, and the box has various faces, some sad, some depressed, some highly anxious and frustrated, and some really happy, really engaged, really energized faces, which faces would your employees check out? The majority of faces which your employees checked out would be the vitamin E levels of your company. You can see how powerful it is if most of your employees check the happy, engaged, energized faces. How can you do that? How can you raise the vitamin E levels of your company? In episode 1, one of the things that I've talked about was the changes in the next normal. And I shared 4 changes with you, one of which was, it's not about time in the office, it's about results and impact. And guess what? 2 weeks later, just recently, Facebook and Google have announced that their employees could work from home till the end of this year, 2020, if they like. And Twitter went a little bit further and says if an employee doesn't need to be in the office and their work allows for it, they could work from home forever. What does this tell us? This tells us a few interesting things. But number 1, it tells us that the vitamin E levels for Facebook, Google, and Twitter did not drop during this pandemic crisis. Did not drop when the people are working from home in a blended world. Did not drop when they are working remotely as a team rather than physically in the office. This is the vitamin E type of levels that you want to build, that your people can have vitamin E in a blended world where the physical and the digital world intersect. How can one do that? One of the things that you can think about doing is that your employees must not feel lonely. They must feel a tight togetherness even in this very difficult time. And how can one create that one for all and all for one feeling of tight togetherness instead of solitude, instead of loneliness in this blended world? I offer 5 P's, 5 perspectives, all starting with P, and I would like for you to think of 3 P's that will work best for your company. The first P is purpose. Purpose usually is linked to the mission and the vision of the company. Many of us have heard these terms bandied around before, so let me quickly guide us. Mission is the raison d'etre of your company. It is the reason for being. It is why you exist. For example, for Rest Age Advisory, the mission is helping leaders create better futures. And that mission remains the same for me in good times or in COVID-19 times like today, helping leaders create better futures. One of the mission of the company's client that I have the real wonderful privilege to work with is Singapore's National Centre for Infectious Diseases, or NCID for short. Its mission, and I quote, is to protect the people of Singapore from infectious diseases. What a powerful, unifying, one for all for one mission that will strengthen the vitamin E levels of NCID's leaders and people in this very difficult time. So mission is the reason for being. Mission is the corporate ikigai, corporate purpose for your company, and you need to harness that mission to be driving your people as one in an arrowhead formation. The second aspect that I'll talk about is your people. This is the second P. Mission usually has a vision statement, and it usually have what we call a people vision and a people values. So when you think about your people, you think about their energy levels. What is the people vision and what is the people values that you really want to drive home in this time? In this time, during pandemic, in the time after, during business as usual. What are the people's values? What is the people vision that you really want to drive that will make your company great to ensure that its very best years remain ahead and not behind it? The third P you can think about is called path to success. Path, not a ladder. Many clients and friends of Rest Age Advisory have heard me use the term path rather than ladder. I think as a person gets more experience, gets more seasoned, gets more masterful in their job, they should find the path widen, broader, and easier. It's not a ladder where it gets more strenuous to climb as one gets older and older. So when you think about the path to success during this difficult time and in business as usual, think about a functional path to success for the various departments and divisions under your charge. Then think about the individuals within those functions and what are their individual paths to success. The individual paths to success will contribute strongly to the functional path to success, which will contribute strongly to the mission and the purpose of your company. So it is all linked together, and this might be the time to put in mentoring programs to increase path of success. As we mentioned, 3 of my clients have started putting in mentoring programs in this very difficult time because they know that to strengthen the individual path of success will strengthen the functional path of success, which in turn will hit the corporate ikigai, hit the raison d'etre, hit the purpose of the company, and strengthen the company's path to success. So the third P for you is path to success. So far, I've talked about 3 Ps. They are, recap for you, purpose, people, and path to success. What could the remaining 2 Ps be? The fourth P I'd like to share with you is called passion. Have you heard of the term polymath? A person who is good in many things, who knows a lot of knowledge, who has many hobbies and multiple interests. A polymath is like a universal man. And I always believed, and Rest Age Advisory have always taught, that a more polymathic approach to approaching a situation, looking at it from multiple angles, looking at it from various perspectives, using knowledge and skill sets from different avenues, different hobbies. All this will help us build a stronger, more energized, more enthusiastic enterprise. In short, if you cultivate your functions, you cultivate your people to have multiple hobbies and passions, it will only serve you well. Google recently made an announcement. On the 22nd of May, everyone will take a day off globally. Everyone globally in Google will take a day off on the 22nd of May to prevent burnt out. Burnt out is actually the opposite of vitamin E. If you don't want your employees to be burned out, anxious, depressed, frustrated, not able to function really well, then we need them to have high levels of vitamin E. Burnout happens when the vitamin E tank is really empty and we are running on empty. So the fourth P is passion. I would encourage you to ask your people to rest, ask your people to pursue a hobby. And I like it when many of my clients mention that they are putting in pursue a hobby day during this COVID-19 slowdown. The final P for you is projects. Those sense-making projects that you have talked about, this might be the best time to get them going. I think important projects that one has to consider would be having a digital transformation roadmap, digital reform roadmap to establish your company strongly with a new business model to survive and thrive in the blended world. Maybe you can give that a shot and assign that to some people. I think if you're looking at office administration, office management, then thriving in the blended office. Blended means physical and digital interacting. What will the blended office look like? Perhaps it will save you a lot of real estate costs as well in terms of rental. And finally, many companies usually lose track of their customer KPIs, their customers' needs, their customers' wants as they ramp up their processes, products, and services. So perhaps it's time to relook your customer performance indices or CPI and really think through what are the customer performance indicators that you can think about that will gear you to build the right products and market the right services again. So these are the additional 2 P's. So P number 4 is passion and P number 5 is projects. Let us recap the 5 P's that will give you strong vitamin E. P number 1, purpose. P number 2, people. P number 3, path to success. P number 4, passion. Remember polymath? P number 5, projects. Even though I shared 5 P's with you, I'm going to end off today by asking you to pick 3 P's out of the 5. Don't do all 5 P's. Why do I say this? And let me share why in my final closing story for the day. In my mid to late 30s, I had the wonderful privilege to meet someone I really respect, and I've gotten to write papers for this someone I admire very much too. So one day I was asked to meet him on a one-on-one basis. This is a very wise, very well respected, very senior politician. And he started his meeting with me, which ran an hour and a half long, by saying, "Peter, you wrote a good paper. I congratulate you for writing it." He then went on in the same breath and said, "Do you think a minister and his permanent secretary could implement the ideas in your paper?" And before I could answer, I realized that he was coaching me because he provided the answer himself. And he says, the minister and his permanent secretary would be able to implement the ideas in your paper if only you had prioritized it. So I had written a paper called 6 Ideas for Singapore, and I've classified 2 ideas pertaining to economy, 2 ideas pertaining to society, and 2 ideas pertaining to state. And I thought at that age, I was really clever, having put in everything that I've learned in my career at that time. And this very wise man guided me to say that categorization is not enough. You need to prioritize, because he went on to say, when you prioritize your ideas, the minister and his permanent secretary could assign resources to the idea. They could assign leaders to the ideas, and every once in a while, you meet the leaders you've assigned and ask them, how could I best support you for success. So I've always named this story, which is a very personal story, vision, prioritization, direction, and execution. A vision could be a list of things that you want to do. And when you prioritize it, it gives yourself, your company, and your troops direction. And when your people are building arcs, you want them to have not just have high vitamin E, high energy engagement, effectiveness levels, you want them to have a clear and a strong direction. And only then can it move on to execution, where we will score the goals. So whilst I shared 5 P's with you, I do think 5 P's out of 5 is very difficult to focus on all 5. So if you prioritize 3 P's out of the 5, and then you share that with your troops in a clear, convincing, confident manner, that will give you the direction. That will give them, your company, the direction that will take it to gangbusters stage. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you find these videos very useful, and if you do like them, please do share them with your friends. And I wish that each day will be a wonderful masterpiece for you, even in this very difficult time. What will we be covering in the next topic? Let me whet your appetite. In the next topic, which will be the last in our series of First Things First, to bring your company from suffering to struggling state and then to hold it strongly here, we will be talking about how to lead confidently and credibly in this blended world. I hope you will join me and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye. See you.